Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. This is Story Dive, back again, breaking down the first official trailer for Cobra Kai Season 2. In the last few weeks, we got first a teaser, then we got a sneak peek, then we got another sneak peek, and now we have a very revealing full trailer for Season 2 that gives us a lot of hints and alludes to a lot of different directions that Cobra Kai Season 2 might go. Like I did with the two previous sneak peeks, I'm going to go over the trailer, break it down, comment on it, and get into some theories and speculation based on what we're seeing. So, let's get started.
Cobra Kai is back where it belongs. Back on top.
At the beginning of the trailer, you hear John Kreese saying Cobra Kai is back where it belongs, and we see the Cobra Kai's training here. As you can see, they're all white belts in this shot, so I believe this is after Johnny took away their belts. In the sneak peek we got 2 weeks ago,
That's why I had you wear your white belts. We're starting over. Diaz Hawk, 50 push-ups on your knuckles.
and they're starting again at square one because of their bad behavior in the tournament. And then here we have Hawk all alone hitting this punching bag, and he seems very upset. We can also see that he has a bit of a black eye, which I believe might be from a fight, which we're going to see a little bit of later in the trailer. But in this shot, you can see that John Kreese is behind him, watching him, and I get the sense that Kreese might be pulling a bit of a Darth Vader here, trying to pull Hawk into the dark side. In the sneak peek where Johnny berated Miguel and Hawk, Hawk looked pretty upset. He seemed very resentful in the clip. So I believe that might be the beginning of a descent in his thinking, and perhaps John Kreese will pull Hawk into another faction, a separate faction, and maybe we could even get three factions: a John Kreese faction, a Johnny faction, and a Daniel faction that are all battling it out. But Kreese and Johnny are on the same side, at least for part of the season, so if Kreese does separate from Johnny, I believe it won't happen until later.
But the real story's only just begun.
Then we see the continuation of the final shot of Season 1 when John Kreese showed up at Johnny's dojo after the tournament. At the end of the season, he just showed up, we didn't get to see what happened, and in the first sneak peek, I speculated that they might have gotten into a fight, and it turns out that's exactly what happened. Although maybe not so much a fight per se, you could call it a scuffle. It probably won't go any further than that. Johnny says, "I thought you were dead," and Kreese, of course, says,
Cobra Kai never dies.
a phrase that was first said in the Karate Kid Part 3.
Say it! Cobra Kai never dies.
And now we get Daniel saying,
Ever since the tournament, all I've been thinking about are ways to destroy Cobra Kai.
which is something that I touched on in the last sneak peek breakdown. It seems like he's creating Miyagi-Do for all the wrong reasons. Miyagi-Do is supposed to be about justice and balance. If he's doing it just to destroy Cobra Kai, it seems like that's against Miyagi-Do in a way. I believe Daniel will have some inner conflict as well, and probably at some point realize that what he's doing is not in the spirit of Miyagi-Do. And then we have a shot of Robbie and Daniel in Mr. Miyagi's backyard. Daniel now owns Mr. Miyagi's old house. I thought he had purchased it, but in my last breakdown, people reminded me that Miyagi actually gives it to Daniel in his will in The Karate Kid 2.
Last will and testament. You can't get house here. You get house and pick up back home.
In any case, he's fixing it up and turning it into his Miyagi-Do dojo. And here they're doing some sort of training technique, which is really about that balance.
Balance is my thing.
Daniel says, "Balance is my thing," and his wife gives him a look because she probably realizes that he's not really that balanced right now. And we have a shot of a pretty badass looking gear stick that is the head of a cobra, and I think it's Johnny's car because we can hear him say Cobra Kai has new recruits, so I think he's pimped his car with some of that new recruit money. And in this shot we can see the car. It looks like the car that Daniel gave him in Season 1, but with a new paint job. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the license plate matches the stick.
We got some new recruits.
The music we hear is Cruel Summer, a song that appeared in Karate Kid 1, but it's a slow, dark version. I would have preferred if they had just used the original song, but it works fine. In this shot, we can see the new recruits he's talking about in this demo that Cobra Kai are doing. They even managed to make the kata look badass. Johnny says,
Cobras, show them what real karate looks like.
and he breaks these flaming concrete blocks here. I didn't know Johnny was so good at breaking concrete. And the crowd is loving the demo. It seems like the Cobra Kais are becoming rock stars at the school. And then in the next scene, Samantha says,
It's just an insane karate cult that's brainwashing half the school.
so Cobra Kai's popularity seems to be increasing, and I'm sure it's increasing much faster than Miyagi-Do. Because let's face it, Cobra Kai is way more badass than Miyagi-Do, and that's much more attractive. Then we have a shot of Samantha and Robbie. I'm definitely anticipating a bit of a romance between the two in this season. We saw the beginnings of that in the last season, so I'm sure that will continue, although probably there'll be a fight at some point, because you gotta have the drums in there. Here we have Daniel and Robbie at Mr. Miyagi's house, and they're continuing to try and build the dojo. Robbie's arm is injured, as you can see, so I think this is shortly after the tournament, and his arm still hasn't fully healed. And of course, they're painting the fence, one of the classic Miyagi teaching techniques. I just wonder if Daniel told Robbie that this was karate, or if he's going the Miyagi route and not explaining it at all. Another one of the classic Miyagi techniques, sand the floor. Miyagi's backyard is looking very much like it did in the first Karate Kid. As Daniel and Robbie are working on the dojo, Samantha shows up. This is probably when Samantha decides to train with her dad again. Samantha and Robbie are training together. There's a circle around them, so it looks like they're going to be sparring. These kids here, I believe, are the first students of Miyagi-Do, other than Robbie and Samantha. They all look a little on the nerdy side, and my suspicion is they were bullied by the kids from Cobra Kai, much like Daniel in the first movie. And of course they can't train at Cobra Kai, so they're going to Daniel. And now we have a sparring match between Samantha and Robbie, and in the background you can see that Miyagi-Do has more students now. Robbie brushes the hair out of his face because he's so dreamy and tries to look like he's not flexing. In the background you can see this kid in the black and red shirt. We saw him in the first sneak peek for Cobra Kai, the one where Johnny berated Hawk and Miguel. Before he did that, there were some new students who wanted to sign up with Cobra Kai, including this kid, but Johnny turned them away. So it seems like because Johnny turned them away, they went to Miyagi-Do instead.
Got you.
And Samantha says, I got you, with that cute little smile on her face, because they're falling in love while they train together. So romantic. The kid on the right, I believe, is Dimitri, Miguel's friend, or Miguel's former friend. Maybe he didn't like the direction his former friends Miguel and Hawk were going, and decided to train with Miyagi-Do to learn a karate style that wouldn't turn him into the kind of asshole that we see Hawk becoming, and to a lesser extent, Miguel.
Something tells me there's a can of wax in my future.
We saw all of the classic Miyagi-Do training techniques / housework techniques from the first Karate Kid, and they saved it for a little bit, but finally got to the most iconic wax on, wax off. And it looks like the same car that Daniel had in Karate Kid 1 that Miyagi gave to him. All of the new students of Miyagi-Do training in the backyard. Kreese and Johnny training the Cobra Kais with a very interesting technique. I've never seen this karate training technique before. Maybe Kreese came up with it. Put the students in a cement mixer and keep crawling inside it. Then we have another karate demo, this time the Miyagi-Do demo. You can see the LaRusso dealership logo behind it, and there is the Miyagi-Do bonsai symbol projected in the back. And this demo will probably be a lot less badass than the Cobra Kai one we saw earlier.
Which one of you has the balls to take on the champ?
Johnny says, which one of you has the balls to take on the champ, referring to this girl here. So Miguel takes her on. John Kreese is in the background, so I believe this girl may be a student of John Kreese. And according to what Johnny said, she's a karate champion of some kind. Miguel sweeps the leg, and as he's helping her up, she says her name is Tori, throws him, and says,
With a Y.
with a Y, which is a reference to the first movie, Allie with an I.
You got a name? Allie with an I.
This scene should be interesting. Kreese shows up at Miyagi-Do. He's talking to Daniel here. He says, you better hope that your soldiers are ready, meaning Kreese is planning to crush Miyagi-Do. He's coming for Miyagi-Do, and they better be ready. Something that I'm generally pretty happy about with this trailer is that we see Kreese interacting with people other than Johnny, because I was getting sick of that ghost theory. And I know the people that were talking about that John Kreese is a ghost theory are fans of the show, and they're just having fun. We're all having fun fun with it. But if John Kreese really was a ghost, that to me would be by far the lamest thing this series has ever done. So I'm very glad that these shots are revealing that John Kreese is in fact not a ghost, he's not an alien, he's not a hologram, he's a real guy, and he's interacting with everybody because he's actually there. Robbie and Samantha training on the beach, and I really hope their training includes some wave training like we saw Daniel do in the first movie. Kreese says to Hawk,
The fight is only over when you say it is.
Again, Kreese going a little Darth Vader on him, telling him to give in to his negative impulses. Let the hate flow through you. Potentially taking some of the Cobra Kai students in a more extreme direction than Johnny would like. Hawk confronting Dimitri, probably because he joined Miyagi-Do, and Hawk looking like he's pretty much come full circle at this point. He was once a bullied kid, and now he's a full-on bully. One of Robbie's former friends pulling a knife on him. This is the kid that would rob different businesses with Robbie, and they had that very dramatic falling out. Apparently, he's not forgot it.
The sensei doesn't teach destruction and disrespect!
Here we have a verbal confrontation between Daniel and Johnny. I'm sure Daniel would not show up there this angry unless it was the reaction to something fairly extreme, so it could be Hawk and the other Cobra Kais jumping his students in the mall. Behind them, we can see Kreese in his Cobra Kai gi, and he's doing that same fist motion that we saw him do in the first movie, the classic Kreese fist signal. Hawk and Miguel fighting. Johnny and the rest of the Cobra Kais are there, so it's probably a training session, but as you can see, they're taking it pretty seriously, going way harder than you probably should for sparring, and that is probably the result of a conflict that has been brewing between the two, perhaps as the result of Hawk bullying Dimitri like we saw in the previous shot. And another shot of the fight we saw the beginning of earlier. Robbie is in it now, so probably Robbie came in to help Dimitri, and this began a Miyagi-Do versus Cobra Kai brawl in the mall. That rhymes. Hawk goes for his patented flying Superman punch here and gets hook kicked in the face by Robbie. And then in this shot we can see Samantha is in on the action as well. At least I think that's Samantha. She's rolling over Dimitri and sidekicking this Cobra Kai student here. And then we have Samantha being confronted by this Cobra Kai student. Is this Tori with a Y that we saw earlier? I'm actually not sure. In any case, it's a Cobra Kai student, and she's got spiky brass knuckles that she's threatening to punch Samantha with. If you're going to go with spiky knuckles, why not just bring in knives and guns and what have you? Miguel is instructing the class. Kreese and Johnny are behind him, but Miguel looks a little conflicted. I believe he's beginning to question what he's doing at this point in the show. Robbie and Samantha training on the plank in the pond. Extreme balance training. In a way, it's similar to the boat training sequence in the first Karate Kid, only a little bit more extreme. Daniel hangs up a picture of the man who taught him Miyagi-Do, Nariyoshi Miyagi. And again, Miguel looking a little conflicted. Johnny drowning his sorrows in alcohol, as he's prone to do. Another scene of the fight between Samantha and this girl here.
Is that how I taught you to fight?
Johnny confronts Miguel, saying, "That's not how I told you to fight." Johnny could be reacting to Miguel's sparring match with Hawk. Maybe Miguel used some less than honorable techniques. Both Miguel and Robbie running towards something, maybe the fight between Samantha and that girl. And a shot at the beach. I think this is right after the shot we saw earlier where Robbie gets jumped by his former friend and Daniel shows up to save him. A shot of Johnny in a bar punching a guy with one of those big tribal earrings. My guess is Johnny made a comment about the guy's earring because that's exactly the type of thing that would confuse him, and it started a fight. Another scene of the fight between Samantha and this girl with the spiky knuckles. And in this scene, we see the kid that we saw earlier training with Miyagi-Do, so he's probably jumping in on the Miyagi-Do side to help Samantha. Miguel backfisting this guy in the face. And in the earlier scene, I thought Johnny was reacting to the fight between Miguel and Hawk, but it could be the fight between Miguel and this guy because they're still in this forest area. Maybe it turns into an all-out Cobra Kai brawl. And finally, the tease we've all been waiting for, Johnny Lawrence versus Daniel LaRusso Part 2. We almost got it in Season 1, but then Daniel's wife came out and offered them both breakfast. It looks like breakfast is not going to stop at this time, though. We get a shot of them as kids in the original tournament, and then they start going at it. Should be very interesting to see how this fight turns out. That is the end of the trailer. A lot of interesting hints and teases in this one. This gives me the impression that Season 2 will be even more complex even more conflicted, even more intriguing than we had thought, because I think a lot of the characters are going to start going in different directions. It seems like it's going to get pretty complicated, and I can't wait. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of the trailer. I did my best with what we saw, but if I missed something or I got something wrong, please let me know in the comments below. Based on this trailer, where do you think the characters are going in the next season? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will be doing more Cobra Kai videos in the future, so I hope you come back for that. Thanks for joining me. Until next time.